This video is to quickly kind of run through the steps that we used today in class in Google Sheets and how to get your cells to populate themselves by using formulas. All right, so this is the packet that we've been working on, right? Rates of change in exponential functions. And I want you guys to go ahead and skip down to question number 2. If you don't have these data points already, go ahead and copy them down, right? Pause the video and copy them down. But we basically were given the area and the number of weeks, and we calculated first differences and the common ratio, right? The successive ratios. What we did on the next page is something a little bit different. So these numbers in this final column, you might notice, match the numbers that were actually given to us for the area. So that how they found those was they used a recursive formula, and they used the fact that the constant of proportionality is 0.2%, right? So to find the initial first difference here, we did 0.2 times the last number, right? Times the last number. And in the next line, we did the same exact thing, only now our previous number is 2.4. So you may notice that we're taking the previous number and we're plugging it in 2 places in the next one. All right, so we're going to use Excel to give us all of these and more formulas. All right, so the Excel document, which if you go to Canvas, you should be able to find it under yesterday's date, right, January 30th. We're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about how we're going to populate this data. So you should already have the 2 here, right, and that 2 corresponds to this 2 right here in your question number 3. All right, so first what we're going to do is we're going to leave a 0 here for the initial week, and then we're going to put a week 1. And when you guys want to have this column populate, you need to highlight at least 2 numbers, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to drag, right? And it's going to keep counting for us. And we are going to look for 75 weeks because that's what question 4 asks us to do. So keep dragging and go all the way down to until you have 75 weeks, which will be line 77. All right, for our A, our unrestricted amount, for the amount that we saw in the table I was just talking about, we're going to use a formula. So the first thing you need to do is hit the equals button. All right, when you press the equals button, now we can work with this. We said it was going to be 0.2 times the initial amount, the amount that was before this, which was this cell. So click that cell. So 0.2 times that, and you can see that would give us 0.4. So don't forget that this 0.4 needs to be added to that initial amount. So we're going to put a plus, and then we're going to click this again. And now we're seeing 2.4. Now you click enter on your keyboard, and that number will appear. If we want the other cells to populate, now we only highlight this one cell, and we drag it. And we can see that it will highlight the cells after that. All right, so drag this all the way down to your 75th data point, and that's what my last number looks like. The next one, we're talking about the restricted formula, the restricted amount. And this is coming from the understanding that, okay, we actually are growing these bacteria in a dish, so they can't outgrow the size of their dish. So we put a restriction on it. And the restriction is simply given to us in this case, right? 1,000 square millimeters is the maximum area. And so we use that in our formula. Now, in your assignment that you guys are going to complete today, the Black Bear assignment, your formula is really similar to this. You might say the change in A is equal to the rate over the maximum, which you're going to have to calculate, times the previous number, A sub n, the maximum, whatever it is, use it again, minus A sub n. And then don't forget, this one doesn't have it, but don't forget to add A sub n at the end. All right, you know what, and let's make this even better. Why don't we say this is A to the n plus 1. All right, so our recursive formula, you're going to be using your table. The previous cell will be clicked 3 times, right? Every time you see A sub n. So let's go ahead and let's plug this formula into Excel or Google Sheets, whatever. So I'm going to hit equals, and I'm going to just start typing what I write. Remember, we don't have to worry about this change in t because they tell us it's 1. So I'm going to do 0.2 divided by 1,000. And then I want it to be multiplied by, so I've got to click this little star key, right, times. And the previous number A, so I'm going to click 2. I just realized you can't see any of what I just wrote. Okay, guys, pause the video when I was talking about the formula and copy this down if that's helpful you. But this right here, this formula is what right now I'm going to plug into Google Sheets. So here we go. So we got 0.2 divided by 1,000 times the previous number, which I clicked the previous cell. And then we're going to do another times and then parentheses. All right, and I can type in there 1,000 minus a, but again, that is just the previous term. Now this is giving us a really teeny tiny little number. So we got to make sure that we add this original cell to it as well. So you guys should have this previous cell 3 different times in your formula to calculate your restricted amount. And right now they're pretty close. We're going to drag now to populate the rest of our cells because we want them to go all the way down to 75. Whoops. There we go. All right, so now that we know how to type in formulas and get them to populate, I want you guys to do, actually, we guess we have one more. This one is going to be this term, whatever it is, divided by the previous term, right? That's our successive ratio. Click enter. And then as you want these numbers to be populated again, just click that one cell and drag it down. All right, our unrestricted graph. This is going to come from column A and column B, which means that we're going to highlight all this information from columns A and column B. All right, a little tip is go ahead and scroll all the way back up to the top before you click insert graph, insert chart. So we're scrolled back up to the top, we're going to click insert, we're going to click chart, and Google Sheets is going to actually give us a chart. Now, we don't want this kind, we actually want it to be a scatter plot, so we're going to go over here, we're going to scroll down to scatter, and that's what we wanted. All right, don't need this anymore. Go ahead and make this graph a little smaller so it can fit in your space, and you can drag it over. And there we go. So this is our graph for unrestricted. The next one I want is my restricted graph, and it tells us to use columns A and C. So highlight the first column, and I know you can't actually see my keyboard here, but I'm going to now press the command button, and I'm going to highlight column C. I'm holding the command button down this whole time, and then once I've highlighted everything, I can let go, and they stay highlighted. So now I have everything highlighted. I scrolled back to the top. I'm going to click insert chart. It's going to give me a new graph this time, and I do want to also change this to a scatter plot. And this is what this one looks like. All right, it labels my axes and everything, which is pretty sweet. And we'll put them right here. I got to click and then drag. All right, so this video was very quick, just kind of showing you the basics of how to get formulas to populate the cells in Google Sheets. Your assignment today, you will be using different data, but these same types of formulas. Remember, if you have questions, you can email me. My email's right here. You can email me through Canvas. All right? Good luck.